What is up, everyone? It is the Deacon. This is Lantern Ministry. I am back from my mini trip. I went to Florida, in case any of you didn't know. Had a really good time there. Till the end, got a little sick, have a little infection going on. But we're working through that, as always. Um, Tonight I want to talk a little bit, about being in abusive relationships. Um, this one may strike some chords with people. I don't know. I guess I don't. Doesn't really bother me if it does, because some things need to be said. For many of you know that for years, I was in an abusive relationship for a very long portion of my life. You know, uh, I do have a lot of understanding to abusive relationships, and I've also witnessed a lot of abusive relationships. And for myself, it started off like any old relationship. Things were they were good. They were what you would expect, I guess, from young love, you know, or misunderstood love. And for years, obviously in the beginning, it all starts off fresh. You're in your little honeymoon period, they call it. And then you start to see, what the person is actually like. And it always starts off small, little small things, insults, you start getting insulted, you know, uh, to your face, just you and the person, you and your significant other, whoever that may be. It starts off with these little small things, little insults, playing almost, it comes across as jokes, I was just kidding, I was joking around with you, and then it, starts to become where it is actually where it starts to pour over from your personal space, I guess, just you and the other person to other people being around. And you start, those insults start getting, slung at you when there's groups of people. And that's for me, that's my own personal experience, and then it goes to the actual, you start getting called names, and I'm sure a lot of, men and women could both, understand what I'm saying. Then it goes to the name calling, and for me, it was always like cripple and, all the, 'cause, I walk funny. So it was always turned to those things, being called a cripple and everything else. And those things, they hurt, anybody in any relationship, man or a woman, you know, those things will affect you, and then, you get the typical sorries, I didn't mean it. And then, that starts to turn into, you know, physical, and for me, it became physical, it became, a very physically, driven partner I had, that liked to hit, claw, hit, pick up things, hit you with things, but, and one thing I didn't notice, in the beginning, to be honest, I didn't notice all the writing on the walls, I guess. I didn't really see what I was actually in, you know. I didn't see the craziness like everybody else seen the craziness. Uh, it was one of those things where I guess like I was kind of learning, but I was hoping that things would get better. I was hoping that, you know, that these things would just kind of pass, and you would get back to your imagination of what you picture things to actually look like in your brain. The white picket fence, the nice bright grass is greener. But it really didn't turn to that, you see. Those things, they don't really turn out to be all happy at the end of those things. Those things turn out to be, very mentally, physically, spiritually abusive. And you start feeling them, and you carry them inside. And I'm speaking for myself, but I believe I'm speaking for many people. People that are in abusive relationships, they seem to stay in those abusive relationships for a time period, and some stay in there for a very long time. Some never get out. Um, some perish in them. And I mean, these are true statements. This is factual. And there's a lot of it that is fear. The fear of the partner trying to get out of it. A lot of it is the hope. That they hope that things will work out. They hope it'll get better. They hope their partner will stop calling them names. They hope their partner will stop physically hurting them. They hope their partner will stop mentally abusing them. Um, and sometimes that's just not the case. Now, am I saying that relationships that have problems, even in abusive relationships, okay? Abusive relationships, and I hate to use the word resolved, okay? But there's been obviously some success stories, and I don't know many of them, to be honest, but I know there are. So I'll put that out there, that people that go and get the help they need, they go and seek, the professional help that they need, both of them, to, I guess, resolve the conflicts that's going on within each other, within the individual, you know, um, within both parties. There's been abusive relationships where you get two people that are abusing each other, back and forth, and it just becomes like a relationship thing, which really isn't healthy in one way or in the next. There's nothing actually healthy about that at all. But I did notice throughout my experience, okay, that things would be really horrible, and people from the outside be like, dude, like, you gotta, like, get out of that, like, you can't stick in this relationship, dude, this is nuts, you know so I would leave. There would be instances, where I was being either physically, abused. And I mean physically abused, gouges all over my face, back, being cut with glass, all those things, and I would never hit back. Like, I just never hit back. I wasn't raised to hit a woman. If you were a man, I'd slug you out. It's just how it is, the truth. It would have been hard for me to turn the cheek on that one. If some man's abusing me, I'm gonna abuse him back. Um, but that wasn't the case, and I just couldn't hit a woman. But in the instances, that I was actually in, I would leave. And I'd be like, I'm out of here. I'd pack my bags up and I would leave. And it didn't matter to me where I went. I was homeless at some of the instances. I was actually homeless. I would leave and I would literally go and sleep on the street somewhere. I would find a park. I would go and find a vehicle, somebody I didn't even know, middle of winter. I'd go and crack a door open on a vehicle and go and get in the back seat and lay down and go to sleep. Get woken up by the car owner knocking at my door, and it's a real events. This is my real life. I told you I'm giving you my real life. This is this is my story. You know, Regardless how it ends, I don't know how it's going to end yet. This is my story up to this point. I'll get there eventually. Um, but I'd keep going back. I'd get talked back into it somehow. My brain didn't comprehend at the time. Like, I knew it was a bad situation. When I left, it was like, yo, I'm never coming back here. I'm never coming back to you. And and I kept going back into the abuse, and it wouldn't change. I'd bump into this other person, and it would be like, you know midnight, and I'd see her, and we would somehow talk it out, and and mend things up, and I'd go back, and I'd find myself living back with her at the time, and it would all start again. I mean, it started, from obviously the little joking mockery to blatant mockery to everybody's around mockery, throwing jabs, toward the one you love, or pretend to love, supposed love, crazy love, twisted love. I really don't call it love when it's in those kind of settings. It's really messed up love. It's a twisted, demented kind of love. Um, And I find myself going back, and then the whole cheating started, where you started like cheating. She started like cheating on me, and I would leave, and I'd find out, and I would suspect it. Then I'd find out, I'd leave, and then I'd go back. Like I would go back, and I wasn't checking. There's one thing I could tell you now, and I look back. I wasn't looking at my own worth. Know your worth. Know who you are. Know your worth. Because it is hard to get out of those situations. It's not as easy as, you just running out the door. Like sometimes it's not. Sometimes, I mean, I know personally women, okay, that have gotten their arms broken from trying to leave, okay? Personally, broken. I know another woman who was suffocated to death and brought back to life, okay? Given CPR and brought back by the one abusing them, okay? I know many instances where women, they were deathly afraid to leave really bad people, okay? That were horrible boyfriends. Boyfriends to them. That ain't a boyfriend, that ain't a man at all. That's how I look at it. Till you get yourself some help, and you do real lot of soul searching, to me, it's hard to justify those kind of actions, It's really not, you got to get help for those things. And I'm talking about the abusers, the ones that are abusing, and the people that are staying in them, there's a lot behind it. There's a lot behind it. There's a lot of emotional attachment. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of hope, that you're hoping that things will just work out, Very, very rarely does an abusive relationship work out. And I could be, a little bit off, but I think like statistically, it doesn't work out too well for the abused partner in most of these, situations. And like I said, it always seems to start off, where this person is like the love of your life. I love this person, and then you start to see the signs, okay? And the signs, believe it or not, and, I look back at things, a lot in my life. I do. I think I look back at things every single day in my life. I look back at certain things. I kind of pick them apart. But it seems like a lot of the scenarios, a lot of the scenarios that I was in, the situations I was in, basically the things I was seeing all the time were right in my face. All the signs, the red flags, they were right always in my face. And I just didn't notice it. I was blinded by my own hopes. I was blinded by the hope of what could be in the relationship. And I didn't see what was actually, manifesting in my own face. And I just kept going back because I kept kind of feeling like maybe this time it'll get better. And it just did. It never got better like that. I remember the last time I was with this person, and I was in I was actually in a hallway. Sorry, that was my light. I was in a hallway of this building, and she started attacking me with her nails right in my face. And I mean, right in my face, my eye area, and started gouging down my face. And my face was mangled. It was bleeding. It was mangled. And I remember it was the first time, okay? First time, only time. I grabbed her and I slammed her against the wall and I screamed in her face, and then I let go and I left. And I left, no joke. And you might think this is like a little like overboard, but for me it wasn't. I actually left and I was at St. Luke's and I went into the Good Shepherd residence, which I've talked about. That's why, I stayed there for a while. I went into the Good Shepherd residence, but right before I went in, I remember I punched a car. A good friend of mine had his vehicle out in the parking lot, and I hit it so hard. I dented the back of his nice little pickup truck he had out there. I smashed it. I actually, if you look at my knuckle right there, see how it's pushed in? That's my that's the indent. I broke my knuckle. My knuckle got pushed all the way back from that moment. And I went in to the Good Shepherd residence, and I did not come out for 3 months. 3 months. I stayed in the building. I mean, I divided myself. I completely secluded myself away from that person for 3 straight months. I went in there, and I think at the time I weighed like 270. It was like the heaviest I've ever been. And I came out 168 pounds. And that's not because I was starving myself, it's because I was working out every single day. I was trying to better myself, trying to improve myself. I was finding my worth. And that's a big, I guess a key to what I'm talking about tonight is know your worth, okay? I look at all the things that I went through in my life, okay? The good, the bad, and I always look at things, and I do from this day, I look at things, when things are hard for me, okay? I look at life and I look back at it and say, you know something? God has got me through all of this. He's got me through it all. And I must be worth a lot to him. I made it through all those times in life, and God still loves me. And I'm still that much, I'm still worth that much to him. Know your worth. And I'm speaking to whoever is out there. Whoever is out there that is listening to this, that this is reaching, know your worth. If you are in an abusive relationship, find a way out of it. Do what you need to do to get out of it. Never resort to violence either. Okay? Don't resort to violence to get out of it unless your life is actually in jeopardy, where you are just defending your own life. Find a way out of it. Okay? And if there's anybody out there that obviously has, is an abuser, get the help you need. Go and seek help. All right, whatever happened in your life that in your head justifies what you're doing, it's not right. And you can't justify it. You need help. You need help on different levels, You need a lot of deep help. And there is all help out there. Obviously, there is help out there. I mean, you got to want it. And we talked about that in previous episodes. But, I've heard it said a lot, people that are in abusive relationships. I've actually heard it say, that person deserves it. They want to stay in that relationship. They deserve it. There's a lot to it. Like, it's not just they're just choosing to get beat on or picked on or called names. It's not like that. You understand? And I'm not talking to you. Maybe there's somebody out there that thinks that way, but you cannot justify that. Nobody deserves that. A lot of times there's a lot attached. It could be the housing. And two people could be having a house together, and they're both are tied into some kind of, paying their bills or children. They got children in the mix, and they're doing it for their kids. One partner's just sticking around because they got children with this person, and they don't want to break up their family. And there's so many different, instances why people stay in those relationships. Again, I'll say it. It could be hope. They hope it's going to get better. They fear, walking out the door, what may happen, and we all know there are stories out there. There are headlines in newspapers, where women tried to leave or men tried to leave, and the children are involved and bad things happen. You understand? Like, you got to know your worth. I guess, you got to learn. You got to learn how to get out of it, walk away from it the best you can, get out of it, no matter what it is. Okay? Nothing is worth your well-being. Nothing is worth your own well-being. Okay? If you're in a fire, the first instinct should be to get out of the fire. Okay? And if you are in a fire right now in your life, okay, and you are in an abusive relationship in any way, get out of it. And if the person you're with isn't willing to go and get professional help, okay, and to actually sit down with somebody and get the help that they need to fix whatever it is that's going on, walk away. Get out of it. It won't get better. Those things will not get better if help, if nobody's seeking help. It'll become very unbearable, okay? Unsettling on a daily basis. You'll feel it, you'll know it, but a lot just don't know how to get out of it. And the best advice, if you gotta leave and dip out for 3 months, then leave and dip out for 3 months. Walk away from it, get out of it, do what you can to remove yourself from the situation. Don't look at, I'm tied to this or I'm tied to that. If you ain't physically tied to something, then you're not tied to it. I don't care if they're bills, I don't care if it's a house. If you got, children and you're involved in an abusive relationship, trust me, your kids ain't doing any better because you two are staying together. Doesn't make sense. Your kids are watching those things happen, and that's actually affecting them even worse. Get out of it the best you can, whatever you can do. Just don't stay in it, just because you hope things are going to get better. Because you got to remember, if the person is laying hands on you, calling you all kinds of names, whores, this and that, most likely that other person is not hoping things get better. Do you understand? They're not hoping things get better if they're the ones causing things not to get better. And there's always one person that's getting caught in it, And sometimes, again, it's two people. You might have two people just back and forth abusing each other. Again, it's very unhealthy. It's just a dangerous environment for both them at that point. And I'm speaking to men and women and the children involved. Know your worth. Know that whatever you do, whatever you've been through in life, that God has got you through all of it. And he holds worth with you. He sees the worth in you. He loves you for who you are, and he wants the best for you. And with that, I'm going to end this one, and I thank you all for being patient with me and sticking it out with me. It's been I think about a week. I'm hoping tonight we will be dropping some Midnight Madness. I haven't actually heard from my brother yet, but if I do, you will see the video being posted. That'll be tonight at midnight. And if you want to watch the video live, you got to go to my brother Charles Marinaro's Facebook page. You will see us live there where you can interact with us. And that'll be really cool. And if not, that's fine too. I will be uploading the video like I always do right after the live show. This is the Deacon. This is Lantern Ministries. Beginning, God willing, beginning Monday, we will be dropping videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm going to try to put a little schedule together. Now, I am not the best at keeping schedules. I try to, but I'm not the greatest at it. sometimes I just get busy. I got children, and like I said, this trip we went on, I wanted to produce a little bit more, but it was it was a beautiful vacation, but it was also a difficult one due to some surprising health issues that I'm still having right now. But with all that being said, I'm hoping to keep this schedule Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for Midnight Madness on Fridays. Mondays, I'm hoping to do, a an episode just like this one. Wednesdays, probably, well, most likely another episode with some music dropping behind the music. Did not forget about that. That is still going. And Fridays, like I said, we will be doing Midnight Madness on Friday nights. So thank yous again, all of yous, for being so patient with me. I do appreciate yous all so much. God bless yous all. And remember, know your worth. God bless yous. It's the Deacon. I'm out.